Welcome to this webinar. My name is Amanda Cresswell. I'm going to pass you to my colleague.
Hello, my name is Richard Keagan-Bull.
And I'm Irene Tuffrey-Wijne, and the three of us work and sitting here in the office at Kingston University in London, together with a couple of colleagues. I'll just show you, and just wave, there they are. So we are members of the Staying Alive and Well group that deals with the LeDeR programme. First of all, I want to say thank you to the PCPLD network for hosting this webinar for us. I'm going to just hand over to Richard to say what the Staying Alive and Well group is. What are we talking about?
So the Staying Alive and Well group was part of the LeDeR's programme, but that's a lot of jargon, so we renamed it the Staying Alive and Well group. And we're a group of people with learning disabilities around the country who meet. We're a focus group that meets once a month to talk about the LeDeR's review and that help them to make people's lives better. Yes.
And the LeDeR review, that's a bit of jargon, isn't it? What's LeDeR, Amanda? Give it a go.
LeDeR is finding out why people die with a learning disability unexpectedly. Why do they die for no reason at all? And this is why we find out the information and we report that information to the LeDeR project through the NHS.
And it's quite complicated, isn't it? Because we want to find out why people with a learning disability die, and whether they do die for no reason at all, or whether there is a good reason, whether it could have been prevented, or could people have lived longer. It's jargon, isn't it? You call it Staying Alive because LeDeR made us think of Boris Johnson at the time.
We did, made us think of him, yes. So we decided that we'd throw it out the window and come up with our own name, called it the Staying Alive and Well group.
So this is a group of, at the time it was 7 people with a learning disability, supported by us, and including Johnny and Tasha, who you just saw. And you can tell in a moment maybe what Johnny's job is. But first of all, the job of the group is really to try and explain the LeDeR programme in a way that doesn't have quite so much jargon and that we can all understand. Because it's about people with a learning disability and it's important that we all understand. So this group, you wanted to make a video, didn't you, to explain the things?
We did, yes.
And you did. So before we do any further talking, why don't we go over to this video, which is just launching today. It's the first time, you are the first people to see it, and then we'll put it on YouTube afterwards. But you are getting the premiere of the video that this group made explaining the LeDeR programme. So let's watch that now.
How LeDeR works by the Staying Alive and Well group. We have made a story to tell you how LeDeR works. The actors are from the Staying Alive and Well group. They're all alive and well. Here are the characters in the story.
I'm Maggie and I play Sarah.
I'm Joanne and I'm playing Mary.
I'm Dean and I'm playing John.
I'm Irene and I play the support worker.
I'm Frankie, I play Rosalind.
I'm Richard and I'm playing Mr. Spencer.
I'm Amanda. I'm playing Dr. Colby.
I'm Leon and I'm playing myself.
Making this story was upsetting. We think it would help if you watch this video with someone else so you can talk about it. Let's begin. This story is about 2 friends, Sarah and Mary. Sarah's heart stopped working and she died. John is there to support Mary.
I really miss my friend Sarah. We used to go for coffee quite often, and I miss her so much.
I'm so sorry to hear that she died, Mary.
Mary speaks with John. Mary and John make a plan. They are going to report Sarah's death to the LeDeR program.
I know Sarah had a learning disability, and we're meant to report deaths of people with learning disabilities. Shall we report it?
Yeah, I
to
think
LeDeR?
it's a good idea reporting it to LeDeR.
Mary and John go on the NHS website. They start filling out a form. The form tells the NHS that someone has died. Anyone can fill in the form.
So this is where we report Sarah's death. What was your relationship to Sarah?
A friend.
Did Sarah have a learning disability?
She did.
Did Sarah have autism?
No.
How old was Sarah?
45.
The form tells the NHS that Sarah has died. The NHS asked Mr. Spencer to find out more. This is called a review. The first thing that Mr. Spencer does is talk to Sarah's best friend, Mary.
Hello there, I'm Mr. Spencer. I come from the Leaders Review to talk about your friend Sarah. I haven't, but I was wondering if you could just tell me a bit more about Sarah, and I'll write some notes down.
I'm just a bit worried how she died too early.
Mr. Spencer talks to Rosalind about Sarah. Rosalind was Sarah's sister.
It wasn't picked up early enough and she didn't get the right care or treatment either. So I was just a bit concerned that, I think this could have been avoided had she gotten the correct treatment.
Mr. Spencer talks with Dr. Colby. Dr. Colby is Sarah's GP.
Hello, I'm Dr. Colby. How may I help you?
I'm doing a review in Sarah Johnson's death, and I believe that you're her GP, and I was just wondering if you could give me some information.
Let me have a look on her notes and see if I can find anything.
Mr. Spencer finishes Sarah's review. Mr. Spencer types up Sarah's review and sends it to the NHS.
Sarah Johnson, born on the 13th of October 1976, died on the 17th of February 2021. What did Sarah die of? Heart attack. Were there any worries or concerns about her death? Yes.
Sarah's review has a lot of information about Sarah. The NHS put Sarah's review together with all the other reviews. There were reviews about 3,303 other people with a learning disability who died in 2021. The NHS sends all the reviews to the researchers at King's College London. The researchers look at the reviews. The researchers write a big report about the reviews. The big report has lots of jargon and lots of numbers in it.
This report is complicated and hard to understand.
The Staying Alive and Well group makes the report easier.
Maggie, would you be able to read out the writing?
People with learning disabilities should have, I don't know what that word is,
Priority.
priority for COVID vaccine and boosters.
Maybe this is something we can say easier, actually. What do people think?
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
some-
definitely, Johnny.
Yeah, I like the way that Frankie explained it. It's better, isn't it?
Okay, so what should we say? People with a learning disability.
Should have more importance over, as well as elderly people, to get a booster vaccine, if that makes any sense. I'm not trying to.
Oh, maybe about the
Top of the list. Go top.
yeah, top of the list. That's what I was thinking.
Go
Of it. I was
top
thinking
of
of
the
the
list.
list.
Top of the list.
Top of the list.
Yeah, top of the list, Johnny.
Okay, guys.
The Staying Alive and Well group made videos about the report. You can watch them on YouTube. Here are some clips from the videos.
Of each 100 people with a learning disability who died in 2021, 20 died of COVID-19, 11 died of cancer, 9 died of health problems that they had all their lives from when they were babies. 7 died of flu and lung infection, pneumonia. 4 died of cerebral palsy and paralysis. 4 died of heart problems.
And Sarah was one of those.
4 died of stroke. 3 died of dementia. 2 died of epilepsy. The others died of all sorts of other things.
More ballot samples. Tests and treatments were too late.
What can we do about this?
Send people for tests and treatment good time. Listen to people with a learning disability, their families and carers. Take their worries seriously.
To report a death, go on this website. You can find more information about LeDeR on our website or the YouTube channel.
Here are all the actors in the story. We are members of the Staying Alive and Well group. We are all alive and well.
So I hope that was interesting. We certainly had, well, maybe fun is the wrong word, but it was good to make this video, wasn't it? But it wasn't easy either.
No.
Say something. We've watched this with the group a number of times now, and as you can see, we've also, really looked at the report and thought about the report. What was that like? to look at all these big numbers.
Well, it was quite difficult and quite hard to take it all in, but how high how high the number of people with learning disability who sadly died and all that. Yes.
Yes, it was upsetting, wasn't it?
It was upsetting.
And I think it was also quite striking because the numbers in the report are a little bit, I mean, what's a big number? It's hard to imagine. It's very hard to imagine that. So telling the story of one person, even though she was made up, yeah, she's still very much alive. That was also quite shocking, I think, for the group, that actually we are talking about real people here. So let's just, before we look at another video, I just want to remind you that it is possible for you to write any of your questions or comments in the Q&A box. We will have sort of 10 minutes or so at the end to answer those. And I've also got Professor André Strydom with us here, who leads the LeDeR program at King's College, as you could see. He was actually in the video. You saw him very briefly typing up the report. But we thought before we look at that and answer some of the questions and have more of a discussion, let's just share with you one of the videos that we've made of the big report, because the 2021 report was huge, and I think you find it was just all too much to put it in one. Yes. In one document. We also interestingly found that if we made it all an easy read like we used to, it would be quite a few pages, right? And you said, what did you think about lots of pages of easy read?
Lots of pages was just too much. We just want to straight and simple. So that's hopefully what we've done. Made it straight and simple, not too much jargon, just easy reading and not too many pages.
Exactly. And so the main easy read report, it was a video, but you wanted to have videos as well, but it just gives you the headlines. So what you did last year was also take out each chapter of the report and made a separate video explaining in a bit more detail what that chapter was about. So let's just look at one of those, and we gave them different colours rather than numbers, because that was easier to remember.
It was, everyone's got a colour, not numbers. Yes.
Yeah, so you had the blue part.
I did.
Generate. We all had a different way of part of generate. So let's just look at the blue part. This is about a 10-minute video of one of the chapters of the 2021 report. Well, it's self-explanatory, I hope. So let's watch that now.
This is the annual report of 2021 for the LeDeR programme. In this report, we're going to find out about people with a learning disability who died in England in 2021. The full report has 6 parts. The video of our full report is on our website and our YouTube channel. In this video, we will tell you a bit more about the blue part. It is best to watch this video with somebody else. You can stop this video at any point and talk about it together. The blue part. How good was the care for people with learning disabilities who died? Most people with learning disability, 7 out of 10, had some care which was good. This doesn't mean that all their care was good, but at least some of it was good. But some people, 3 out of 10, did not have any good care. There were lots of examples where people's care was bad. But there were also lots of examples where people got good care. Here are examples of good care. Always checking people's health, help them get good care. For example, annual health checks. Another example, doctors sending you for tests and treatment as soon as you need them. Another good example of checking people's health, screening. What is screening? Screenings are special checkups to see if you have a health problem. For example, going for a mammogram. That is checking if you have breast cancer. Or testing your poo to check if you have bowel cancer. Another good example is getting all your vaccinations and boosters. Bad examples were when people didn't get this. No annual health checks.
What can we do about this?
More people with a learning disability should have a annual health check. Make it easy for people to get the annual health check.
More bad examples. Tests and treatments were too late.
What can we do about this?
Send people for tests and treatment good time. Listen to people with a learning disability, their families and carers. Take their worries seriously.
More bad examples. No screening.
What can we do about this?
Make sure people with a learning disability can go for screening. Send invite. Make invite easy to understand. Make screening easy to cope with.
More bad examples. No vaccines.
What can we do about this?
People with a learning disability should be vaccinated. Make it easy for people with a learning disability to get their vaccine.
More bad examples. Sometimes carers didn't notice when people were ill.
What can we do about this?
Carers need more help and training. So when people's health gets worse, carers notice. And carers know what to do about it.
What helped people to get good care? Making reasonable adjustments help people get good care. What are reasonable adjustments? Changes staff can make to make it easier for people to have care and treatment. For example, more time. Other examples of reasonable adjustment. A calm and quiet place to wait. Easy to understand information. What else helps people get good care? Having a carer, family or staff to speak up for them help people get good care?
What can we do about this?
Listen to family and carers, but also listen to the person with a learning disability.
Learning disability liaison nurses help people get good care. What are learning disability liaison nurses? They are special nurses who understand what people with learning disability need.
What can we do about this?
Articles to having up learning disabilities liaison nurses.
Hospital passports help people get good care. What is a hospital passport? A hospital passport is a document that has all your health information in it. It is a quick and easy way for doctors to find out about you and your health. Sharing information about your health helps people get good care. For example, putting important information about you in your notes, so all doctors and nurses know what you need. Mental capacity assessments help people get good care. What is a mental capacity assessment? A mental capacity assessment is when they check to see what you understand. It is to see if you can help make decisions about your own care and treatment. Best interest meetings help people get good care. What is a best interest meeting? A best interest meeting happens when a person does not understand what is going on. It's when others think about what is best for them. But sometimes staff didn't know about the Mental Capacity Act and didn't involve people with a learning disability properly in decisions. What else helped people get good care? Staff, teams and carers working together help people get good care. For example, when someone in hospital is ready to go home, staff talk with family and carers about what they need. Adapting to people's needs help people get good care. For example, if someone needs oxygen to breathe, his carers learn how to give this so the person can stay at home.
What can we do about this?
It's really important that we get every little thing in this video right. If just one thing were wrong, could make care bad. People could die.
I hope you found that interesting. I can see there are a lot of questions coming in about what it was like to make it, how challenging it was. Questions also about availability of these videos. The video you've just watched is already on our YouTube channel. The tag there is Alive LeDeR, and that's also our Twitter hashtag. So if you look for our YouTube channel, it will also be available on the NHS website. So hopefully you can find it there. Some of the links are already in the Q&A. But first of all, I thought I'd go, before we answer all the questions about what was challenging, which could be a very long answer because a lot of it was challenging. I thought I'd go to Professor André Strydom to ask you, André, who do you think should read these reports? Who are the reports for, and why are they important?
Thank you, and thank you for hosting this event as well, which really striking and helps to show the important work that is being done as part of LeDeR and how important the program is. We think it's important because it can help to show people working with people with learning disabilities, the doctors and the nurses, what they need to do to make to improve the health of people with a learning disability. And it's also important for the managers, the hospital managers, and the people who plan services, so that they can do better and make sure that people with learning disabilities get the right care. But we also think that it's good for people who support people with learning disability in the community, so caregivers, family caregivers and care workers, to know what to look out for. So there may be information in some of the reports that could help people to know what to look out for, and even what to do to make things better for people with a learning disability. So I'm just trying to think of a few examples of that. So one issue, of course, a few years ago was COVID-19. And I think the work that Bristol University did initially and later what we did in a 2021 report showed, just how many people with learning disability were affected by COVID-19 and how important it was to make sure that people are prioritized for or are first in line for the COVID-19 vaccinations. So I think that had a big impact. And then another example very recently is that it's been shown that the DNA CPR, so that's the decision to decide whether people should have resuscitation or not when they are very ill, that is not always done in the right way for people with a learning disability. And so LeDeR showed that it needs to be improved. And because of that, NHS England, the medical directors of NHS England had sent out a letter, a notification to all of the hospitals in the whole of England to make sure that they do it in the right way. So that's the kind of thing that can be done to improve the care of people with a learning disability.
Thanks, André. That's really helpful to hear about that. One of the questions also was there and I can see how, and we know how important it is for policymakers, the people who pay for services, and for, as you say, families, carers, professionals, doctors, nurses, to know about all these things that people with a learning disability die of, and that they might have been able to live a bit longer, really. But one of the questions also, who reads the accessible reports? Because everything André has talked about, you could see him typing on the video. You could see him typing a really complicated report, and Leon in the video said it was far too difficult. Yes. He couldn't understand it. No. The people that André talked about hopefully can understand his report, but we've made it accessible so that people with a learning disability can also understand it. What we don't know is how many people with a learning disability read these accessible, easy read reports or watch our videos. And anybody watching this should, why is it important that we make it accessible and that people with a learning disability know what's in the reports?
Well,
you first.
I think it's important for it to be made accessible and easy so people can help to understand what's going on, and that if it's made easy like videos for people with learning disability, they'll probably be more happy to go to the doctor and get things sorted out if they know that if they understood what's going on. But if it's too much jargon, lots of paper, people aren't going to sit down, because some people with learning disabilities that struggle with reading anyway and writing. But watching the video, it's a lot more easier and trying to make sense of loads of writing.
And yes, that's what we thought, and we don't really know that yet. It's the first time this report has been done in a video format, so we don't really know whether that is better and whether more people are able to read it or look at it. Our group, the Staying Alive group, meets on Zoom every month, and at the moment there's now 10 people with a learning disability in the group. Just before this webinar, we opened up that meeting to other people with a learning disability to share the video and talk to them. Not very many people came, but the people who did, you know, the people that we've shown it to really are struck by it, isn't it?
No, the people who came were very interested in it. They were quite distracted. Then they go back into their groups, they are, so that's good.
Yeah. And how about you, Amanda? Why do you think people with a learning disability should know about the LeDeR reports?
Because people with a learning disability have the same right as people who don't have a learning disability. And because I've got a learning disability and lots of the people in the group, people with a learning disability are more likely to watch it rather than somebody like Irene who doesn't have a learning disability, because we've been through things that other people without learning disabilities cannot understand what we've been through.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's and we know that over the years of seeing these reports, you know, the issues are very much the same. Really, we're going to think about that is how we can make sure that things change. I mean, you know, as André was saying, there are some changes made by the NHS. So, you know, letters being sent out about DNA, CPR, really trying to understand what it is that, you know, that makes things difficult for people. But, you know, it is difficult. And I think your voices are so important to hear how it affects you. So I'm just going to go back to André.
I think that if you make it easy for us to understand, you can make it easy for anybody to understand easily.
Yeah. And that might be, before I go back to André for another quick question, I can see when somebody's asked what has been the most challenging and the most difficult about making these reports, the videos and the accessible reports. And I can see Johnny, who is sitting there smiling knowingly, because and you as well, Richard, what we have found really hard is to actually explain it to ourselves, to really understand what was in those reports. I should ask you that, Richard, but I have to say, I remember reading one of the chapters thinking, how on earth are we going to explain this in easy language? And I realized it was because I didn't quite get my head around it either. So that's the beauty about making things easy. You really have to get to the core of it and understand what the issue really is. It was about avoidable death, and you had the pleasure of trying to say that word, didn't you, Amanda? It was quite hard.
It was very, very hard, and we wanted to make sure that there was no jargon. We do not like jargon, but I know it's not easy for someone to try and explain if they don't have any communication. If they can't speak, then it's difficult for people to understand.
Exactly, and it made us realise that that very short chapter really on avoidable deaths needed so much explaining, and that was hard. We tried, and hopefully we've got there. So you can see. I just want to go to André for one question, because we only got about 4 minutes left. But there's a question coming in about autistic people and whether there are differences there. And I just wondered whether you can just explain this sort of new edition from in the LeDeR program for people who are autistic. André.
Yes, so NHS England have included people who have autism or autistic people in the LeDeR program since last year. So for 2022, if people who are autistic had died, then they should also be reported to LeDeR. I think the uptake is probably going to be a little bit slow. It's going to take a while before everybody knows about this and have systems in place to do this. But I mean, there may be also important things to consider in the healthcare of people of autistic people. And I think the question is whether the challenges to get good care is similar or different for people with a learning disability compared to autistic people. And I think in some ways there are similarities. For example, the need for reasonable adjustments, to make adjustments for the needs of the person when people are provided with care, or when they present, or when they need an assessment. So those principles are similar and could be applied to not just people with learning disability, but also to older people or autistic people and so on. But there may be other things that are very specific. So perhaps the health needs, for example, of autistic people may be slightly different to people with a learning disability.
Thanks, André. And I was looking at the time. We've only got 2 minutes left, so there are lots of interesting and good questions. But we're going to have to close this now, I'm afraid. But as I said, thank you very much to André for helping us to answer the questions. A huge thank you to the whole Staying Alive and Well group, and to the people supporting the group. There's, as I say, a couple of people here in the office, but there are lots of people behind the scenes as well. Thank you to the PCPLD network for hosting this webinar. That's the Palliative Care for People with Learning Disabilities network. So do Google that, PCPLD. Go onto their website. There's lots of webinars there on relevant issues about end of life, death, dying, and learning disability. And all the videos, as I said, that we showed you today are available on our YouTube channel, Alive LeDeR. I'm going to end with reading just one comment from somebody who said, we used the video in our health task group, and the people there, that's people with a learning disability, found it very powerful and easier to understand than a written report. So that is really very nice to hear, but we do welcome all your ongoing feedback. I'm going to give you the closing words and saying goodbye to people. Richard, you first.
Well, thank you for coming to our webinar, and hope you enjoyed the video, and please share the video with all your groups and all that. And in fact, you got the world premiere today, you will, the video, so thank you for coming to it.
Excellent.
Now to my colleague.
I hope everybody found the video useful and they can share it with people with learning disabilities, and hopefully they will be able to understand what we have been doing.
Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Goodbye from me and goodbye from her. Yes.
Goodbye from everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.